It is time to talk travel. Welcome to the Inside Travel Talk podcast and radio show. Coming up on today's show, we will be talking about how to travel to Greenland, all-inclusive Costa Rica vacations, MSC Cruises' brand new cruise ship called World America. Mark and I were just on it. It is a genuinely spectacular ship. Plus, we'll give you travel tips to keep your passports and money safe while vacationing. Let's start the show. The Inside Travel Talk podcast and radio show, presented by BluePlanetVacations.com, contains travel deals, promotions, and offers that may be time sensitive. All offers and information were accurate when the show aired. Travel deals and offers change constantly and are capacity controlled and subject to change without notice.
Explore your world. It's the Inside Travel Talk podcast and radio show, presented by BluePlanetVacations.com. Call or text the show now, 801-649-3700, 801-649-3700, and check out the podcast at InsideTravelTalk.com. And now, here are your hosts, Patrick Wiscombe and Mark Faldmo.
Vacation Patrick Wiscombe is back. So is Mark Faldmo, back from the Caribbean. And Mark, I don't know about you, but after spending a month in the Caribbean, I feel absolutely rejuvenated. I have more enthusiasm for just things in general. I don't know how you couldn't be more excited about life than I am right now. What a tremendous, tremendous opportunity to go to the Caribbean for a month.
Yeah, that's what travel will do for you.
One of the cruise highlights for me personally was getting off the Holland America, the Rotterdam, and then riding Brightline train down to Miami, where I got to see Mark. He handed off some MSC cruise shirts that said holiday mode on. I love those shirts. Very great shirts. Thank you, Laura Okanowski, for getting the shirts. And thanks for meeting me at the Brightline station, because I haven't seen you for a while.
Yeah, it was a while. We had some free time there before the baseball game that we went to and decided to go to downtown Miami and meet you.
If you're brand new to the show, first of all, just welcome and thank you for listening. My name is Patrick Wiscombe. He is Mark Faldmo. And the entire purpose of this radio show and podcast is to help all of you plan and book your next vacation or give you ideas of where to go on your next vacation. This week, we'll be talking about TSA enforcing their real ID requirement. It feels like the story's just been going on and dates keep changing. Anyway, we'll give you the latest here in a second. We'll also talk about the destination of the week, which is going to be Greenland. We've got the hot travel deal of the week. And of course, we'll be talking about MSC's World America. Let's get to the travel news headlines. What do you say?
Let's go.
All right. The TSA, let's just start with the real ID, because it feels like that it's on, it's off, it's on, it's off. Anyway, it's official. The TSA will start enforcing the real ID requirements starting May 7th, which is 4 days from right now. If you're traveling, better have your real ID driver's license ready to go or some form of ID.
This is a story, like you alluded to, that has just kept going and going and going. Quick background on Real ID. It was a suggestion coming out of the September 11th committee. This has been in the works for nearly 20 years, and it keeps getting pushed back. States have not been Real ID compliant, just keeps pushing back and back. And the TSA finally just said, okay, May 7th is the date. So how to know if your driver's license is TSA compliant? It will have, most states, it's a gold star in the upper right-hand corner of your driver's license. So if you do not have a TSA compliant driver's license, you should bring your passport. If you have anything like global entry or TSA pre-check, that comes with a card. That will also get you through.
Oh, it does? I didn't know that. It does. Okay.
Yeah. Or a permanent resident card will also get you through TSA. If you do not have a compliant ID, you can still get through, but you'll have to go through separate secondary screening where you'll have to submit to an identity verification process. One thing in this that I find interesting is the TSA reports that currently only 81% of travelers in the last year have gone through with Real ID compliant driver's licenses.
That could upset some things then.
That could upset some things. I just find it amazing that states have not jumped onto this. I think I'm on my third Real ID compliant driver's license.
Yeah, I think I am too.
New Jersey, I think it was New Jersey, just filed a lawsuit
Oh boy.
to stop this from being implemented, because they only implemented it like last year, and only like 30% of their citizens have a Real ID compliant, because they've been so slow to bring this to the table. But anyway, just if you're traveling in the next little while, make sure you have that Real ID compliant driver's license or other documentation.
United Airlines is expanding their Pacific network with new routes to Manila, Ho Chi Minh City, which is a city I have always wanted to go to, and Bangkok.
Lately, we've been talking about a lot of new routes for airlines, and I think these are pretty fascinating. United from San Francisco will fly to Manila. Right now, it's the only U.S. airline that is serving direct flights to the Philippines.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And that starts October 25th of this year. On October 26th, they'll start flights from Hong Kong to Ho Chi Minh City. So it won't be a nonstop from the U.S., but you can connect United to United and get to Ho Chi Minh City. Yeah, and also on October 26th, the same thing. They'll start Hong Kong to Bangkok flights, also on a 787 Dreamliner.
Always in this first segment of the show is the destination of the week, and we're going to Greenland. What is the best way to see Greenland?
First of all, because it's on the news, it is becoming a pretty popular, at least searched vacation destination with the political things that are going on with Greenland. And also United Airlines announcing in June they're going to start the first nonstops to Greenland from the U.S. There's been a lot of interest in Greenland. To where, many search platforms and tour operators are reporting 200 to 300% increase in searches for the destination.
We have to get to know our 52nd state.
Yeah.
Oh, my word.
That kind of begs the question, what is the best way to see Greenland? In my opinion, it's by a cruise. There are several cruises, like repositioning cruises that go between the US and Europe that will stop in Greenland. So that's a quick stop. But if you really want to see Greenland, there are several smaller ships or expedition type ships that do a great job in Greenland. And there are a few tours that actually go to Greenland as well.
What's your favorite cruise to go there?
I looked and I found two different cruise options. One is actually very interesting. It's in 2026. It's on Carnival Cruise Line, and it's round trip Baltimore.
Oh.
It departs Baltimore, has a couple of days at sea, and it goes up to two different ports in Greenland. And forgive me, I can't say these. Nanantalik, I think is how you say it, or that's how I'm going to say it. And the other one is Quaggertog is the name of it. Two ports on the south side, or the very southern tip of Greenland. And then from there, you cruise down and get some Canadian ports, St. Anthony, Corner Brook, and Nova Scotia before returning back to Baltimore. But this itinerary that does hit Greenland and then some much lesser visited places in Canada makes pretty good sense. It's a 14-day cruise with some pretty good prices. This is August 16th of 2026. So we're talking, about 18 months away.
Yeah.
But it starts at $17.54 per person for an inside cabin, or $26.24 per person for a balcony cabin.
That's great. For a 14-day cruise?
For a 14-day cruise.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then if you really wanted to get something that's a little bit more in depth, Viking Ocean Cruises has a 14-day cruise, leaves July 5th of 2026. And this one actually starts in Toronto, Canada, and ends in Greenland. So it has an overnight in Toronto, cruises up the river to Quebec City, and then has a couple of Canadian ports before cruising and hitting 4 different ports in Greenland. If you want a little bit more in depth, some of these smaller, more expedition cruises are the best way to see Greenland.
So we've talked about cruises. Is there a land option?
Yeah, there are several land options. Now, most of the land options include Iceland. So you'll start and end in Iceland, and they'll take a charter plane, sometimes a ferry or a boat over to Greenland. But land tours will really get you a little bit more in depth to see Greenland. You get to spend more time. Obviously, overnights there is a great way to do that. There is one tour that I found through a company called Intrepid Vacations, which is just called the Greenland Expedition. It's 10 days and it's all in Greenland. So it doesn't include any Iceland. It includes some ferries, charter flights to different parts, some amazing glaciers. But Greenland is becoming more and more open and more accessible to see.
I want to go. That feels like we need to get to know the travel suppliers there.
Yes.
That feels like one of those things. So,
yeah.
All right. So if you want to travel with us, extend the invitation to everyone.
Yeah.
Or if you just have general travel related questions. So I'm going to open it up wide because we kind of covered everything in this segment. The real ID requirements, if you have that, call Mark in his office. Just get the conversation started. General travel questions. And if you have Greenland specific questions, which I will, call Mark at his office, 888-718-7717, 888-718-7717. Are you going to post this on blueplanetvacations.com, the Greenland stuff?
Yes, I will. Yep.
Okay. Check it out, blueplanetvacations.com, or call Mark in his office. One more time on the phone number, 888-718-7717. When we come back, it is the hot travel deal of the week. And this week we're headed to Costa Rica. That is next. When the Inside Travel Talk podcast or radio show continues, alongside my good friend Mark Faldmo, my name is Patrick Wiscombe. Thank you so much for listening. We will be right back.
Taking you to destinations around the world. The Inside Travel Talk podcast and radio show is presented by BluePlanetVacations.com, America's best travel advisors. Call or text the show now. 801-649-3700. 801-649-3700. Thanks for listening. We'll be right back.
Inside Travel Talk is brought to you by AMA Waterways. From castles and capitals to vistas and villages, visit some of Europe's most remarkable sites and cities. To set out on your own river cruise journey, contact Blue Planet Vacations at 888-718-7717 or blueplanetvacations.com.
Now, back to the Inside Travel Talk podcast and radio show, presented by BluePlanetVacations.com, America's best travel advisors. Call or text the show right now, 801-649-3700, 801-649-3700, and check out the podcast at InsideTravelTalk.com. Here's Patrick Wiscombe and Mark Faldmo.
Welcome back to the Inside Travel Talk podcast and radio show. My name is Patrick Wiscombe alongside my good friend Mark Faldmo. You are listening to the best travel podcast and radio show available to mankind when it comes to traveling this beautiful planet that we live on. Third rock from the sun. Coming up in this segment of the show, always in segment number 2, we've got the hot travel deal of the week. And this week we are headed to Costa Rica, because one of our questions came from one of our listeners. And let me just emphasize this while we're here, that we want you to become part of the show and answer and ask your travel related questions. Whatever you're doing right now and you have a travel related question, text the show right now. You can call or text the show at 801 area code 649-3700, 801-649-3700. Even if you think it's a silly question, we want to help you. This show is about helping all of our listeners get out and see the world, and we want you to be part of the show. 801-649-3700. All right, Mark, let's get to the hot travel deal of the week, which is Costa Rica. But actually, you know what? Before we do that, let's do the travel news headlines. One of the biggest pains in the tuchus of international air travel, at least according to this article, will soon become a little bit less of a pain in the tuchus. What details do we have on this?
This is a new pilot program with American Airlines, the TSA, and the UK Department of Transport. The UK, like the US, if you're connecting in the UK, you have to reclaim your bags, recheck them, and then re-go through security.
Whoa. Really?
And that's the same way it is in the US. If you're coming back from Europe, your first point, you have to check your bags, recheck them, and then re-go through security. But this new pilot program with American Airlines will allow passengers flying on American to London Heathrow from Dallas, Fort Worth, or Atlanta, Georgia, to not have to go through security again and check their bags. So it'll be just like a domestic flight where you can just stay in the secure area and go right to your connecting flight.
Now, the only reason I don't know this is because one of the things that we do on this show is we don't really check baggage. We just bring everything with us on the airplane. And that included spending a month in the Caribbean within the last 30 days. We just took as little as possible, and we knew that we were going to live in our swimsuits anyway, but we did laundry on board. And so I didn't even know that that was a big pain.
Yeah, it is, quite the pain, especially coming back to the U.S. And, hopefully that will change. There are a few international airports like Dublin, Ireland, where you actually go through customs and immigration before you board the plane in Dublin. So then you fly back and that plane can go to any gate. It doesn't have to go to an international terminal. But generally, whenever you come back, you check your bags, recheck them, and re-go through security if you have a connecting flight. So hopefully the system takes off and works, and it'll be rolled out to other airlines and other airports.
We have a Disney World alert right now. So I wish I had some sort. No, I think I do have a sound effect right here. That was not the one.
Yeah.
That was not supposed to be a rib shot. That was supposed to, I don't know what that was.
I will try and make this funny so you can use that. No.
At the end of the story. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, this is pretty early for Disney to be rolling this out. They are offering Walt Disney World dining plan for kids aged 3 to 9 for free for 2026 travel. So as long as kids 3 to 9 are traveling with parents or teenagers that purchase a regularly priced dining plan, those younger kids will get the free dining plan for 2026.
Marriott is bringing a JW Marriott all-inclusive property resort to Costa Rica. I don't know what it is about Costa Rica right now. I know you love it. I have not been. Costa Rica is en fuego right now. It seems like the place to go.
Yeah, Costa Rica is such a fascinating destination, and that's actually our hot travel deal of the week after we talk about this topic. JW Marriott is one of the higher end hotel brands in the Marriott Corporation. So they are planning on putting in an all-inclusive resort in the Liberia area. This is about 50 miles from the airport in Liberia, which is typically where all of the all-inclusive resorts are. Now, there's no opening date set for this. They've just signed the deal, but that'll give another option for all-inclusives and also an option that's higher end. So the plans for the hotel are it's going to be 415 rooms, have 11 different food and beverage outlets, 17 swimming pools.
Wow.
So it's going to be
17.
I've seen some other hotels in this area, and it's in this setting. This is just going to be spectacular.
And Marriott, it seems like their resorts, their JW Marriott, isn't that one of their signature brands? I know that there's a whole bunch of Marriott brands, but isn't JW one of their signatures?
It is, yeah. That would be one of the higher end. Ritz-Carlton would probably be the highest end in that. And then JW Marriott is about the same, maybe a small step down, but still, 5-star deluxe plus luxury.
Maybe this is just fascinating to you and me because we're travel nerds. But I think for any average listeners, I think we should break down all of the hotel brands that Marriott owns, and maybe the same for Hyatt. This is ultra luxury. This is luxury. Just break down hotel brands. And it's honestly, as many hotels as are out there, they're really kind of owned by just a handful of companies.
Yeah. And actually in the hot deal of the week. One of the hotels is an autograph collection by Marriott. So I was actually going to go in and kind of explain what that means.
Oh, okay. All right.
So we'll do a little bit of that in the next few minutes here.
Okay. Well, let's get to the hot travel deal of the week, which is, of course, Costa Rica. Now, is this the same Susan that has been one of your clients? And she asks a lot of questions, but she also does a lot of travel. So,
yes,
Susan, hi there.
And this is, I think, the third or fourth question that Susan has asked. And she wants to go to an all-inclusive resort in Costa Rica.
Okay. And just before you move on, if you have travel-related questions, let me just give out the text and the studio number, 801-649-3700, 801-649-3700. Okay, now to Susan.
So, we've talked about Costa Rica a few times on the show, where all of the all-inclusive resorts are located. Most of them is in the Guanacaste area, and you'd fly in to the airport is called Liberia Airport. Personally, I prefer different areas of Costa Rica to travel, but if you are looking for an all-inclusive, this is a great option for that. And so, I looked at a 5-night package from Salt Lake. This was in the fall, it was in September 11th. And so this includes 5 nights hotel, round trip airfare from Salt Lake City, and the airport hotel transfers. And again, the disclaimer on that, because our radio listeners are in Salt Lake, we put that. But if you're listening from another city, we can certainly check other cities for you. This is the first time in a long time that I have seen Costa Rica prices drop close to the $1,000 per person mark.
Okay.
There are some reasons for that, or just air travel demand is down. And so there's more seats and airlines are selling for less price, for a lower price.
Well, good. This is the perfect time to travel.
So this is a great time to go. So the first hotel, it's called the Occidental Papagayo Resort. This is a 3.5-star resort, and that price starts at $1,059 per person. These prices are about $300 to $400 per person lower than they were a few months ago.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
For a 3.5-star hotel, it's a good hotel. I still probably personally would go with one of the next 3 hotels that I'm going to give. The next one is the Riu Palace, Costa Rica. It's a 4.5-star hotel. Starts at $1,279 per person. And I've stayed at this hotel twice. Really enjoyed it. It's kind of in a little cove, has a really good beach. The next hotel is the Margaritaville Beach Resort. Which is a 4-star resort. It starts at $1,579 per person. But as we've talked about, that Margaritaville brand, it's kind of laid back luxury. It is a great atmosphere to vacation in. But this next hotel is one that I'm really interested in. It's the Planet Hollywood Resort. It's a 5-star. It's a Marriott Autograph Collection, and it starts at $1,599 per person.
Hold on. So Marriott now owns Planet Hollywood, part of the Autograph Collection?
This hotel is part of the Autograph Collection of Marriott. All right. And so, that kind of goes where you're saying, let's break down what all of these brands are.
Yeah.
So what the Autograph Collection is it's smaller, unique, independently owned hotels that Marriott vets. They have some significance, either architecture, they're by a landmark, they're unique in some way, and there's a kind of a rigorous standard to get through to be an Autograph Collection by Marriott. But this does put them in the distribution system by Marriott.
Okay.
So,
all right.
This is a newer hotel, and I have not seen it. I've seen pictures, I've seen a few videos. Just looks like an amazing hotel. But for that price, for a 5-star, if we're just looking, there are some other comparable 5-star hotels that are about $500 or $600 more per person than this. So This is a really good price for Costa Rica all-inclusive. In fact, all of these, I wouldn't hesitate to stay at any of the hotels that we mentioned in this segment. There's
just something about rejuvenating about travel. If you're interested in going to Costa Rica, and Susan, it sounds like you are, you know where to find Mark. Just call him in his office, or anyone really. Call him in his office, 888-718-7717, 888-718-7717. He will also post this on blueplanetvacations.com. And we want to answer all of your travel-related questions. We don't care how simple they might be, or you might be embarrassed. Call Mark, 888-718-7717. When we come back, we will be speaking with our good friend, a friend of the show, Laura Okanowski with MSC Cruises. We'll be talking about MSC's World America, the brand new ship, gigantic ship. Mark and I have both been on it. We'll talk about that next when the Inside Travel Talk podcast or radio show continues. Thank you so much for allowing us to be part of your weekend. We will be back in just a couple of minutes.
You're listening to the Inside Travel Talk podcast and radio show with Patrick Wiscombe and Mark Faldmo, presented by BluePlanetVacations.com, America's best travel advisors. Call or text the show now, 801-649-3700. That's 801-649-3700. And check out the podcast at InsideTravelTalk.com. We'll be right back.
This segment of Inside Travel Talk is sponsored by Star Clippers. For over 30 years, Star Clippers has offered unique, authentic tall ship sailing experiences featuring creative itineraries throughout the Mediterranean, Caribbean, and Central America. To book your unique Star Clipper sailing adventure, contact Blue Planet Vacations at 888-718-7717 or BluePlanetVacations.com.
Okay, we're back. Welcome back to the Inside Travel Talk podcast, a radio show. Coming up in the next 28 minutes, we will be talking about MSC's World America. It is a genuinely beautiful ship. I just spent a week on it. Mark was on it as well. We'll also be talking about keeping your passport and money safe while traveling. And we have a real story that's not about me and Mark, but it is happening to someone he knows. Let's get back to the show. The Inside Travel Talk podcast and radio show presented by BluePlanetVacations.com contains travel deals, promotions, and offers that may be time sensitive. All offers and information were accurate when the show aired. Travel deals and offers change constantly and are capacity controlled and subject to change without notice.
This is the Inside Travel Talk podcast and radio show, presented by BluePlanetVacations.com, America's best travel advisors. Call or text the show right now, 801-649-3700, 801-649-3700. And now, here are your hosts, Patrick Wiscombe and Mark Faldmo.
Aboard for the infamous Just Cruising segment on the Inside Travel Talk podcast or radio show. Hello there. We hope that you are having a terrific weekend. My name is Patrick Wiscombe, back from the Caribbean after a month. We'll be talking about all of those adventures coming up. And we'll also be talking about MSC's World America. Mark and I were on that ship within the last couple of weeks. And we'll be talking about a real-life situation about one of Mark's employees who lost, was it her money and her passport, Mark?
Yes.
I am sorry to hear that. That's terrible. We're going to be talking with Laura Okanowski, the business development manager with MSC Cruises. I know that we're a travel show, and we want to share our adventures with listeners. It was a beautiful ship. Let's talk about the room that you had on the MSC World America.
Yeah, so this is an interesting experience. I had what is called an infinite outside cabin. So typically, an outside cabin is a room with a big picture window, but this was not the case. I'm a balcony person through and through. When I walk into a cruise ship cabin, I put my bags down, go out and sit on the deck. Generally, that's the first thing I do. Mm-hmm. Just, take in, I'm on a cruise ship, get excited for the cruise. I walked into this cabin. I walked over, like, oh, this isn't a balcony. It just had a big floor to ceiling glass wall.
Oh, so you had an infinite veranda.
Infinite, yeah. And I was a little bit disappointed. It took me a little while to decide or to figure out that, oh, there's a button that opens the window. So the top half of the glass slides down and turns your whole room into a balcony. It was amazing. I love that. It gives you an extra 5 or 6 feet in the length of the cabin. So you have more living space in your cabin, but you still get that balcony feel to it.
Some people call that a really controversial cabin, that infinite veranda with basically half the window coming down. I loved it.
Yes.
So I'm right there with you, but it is different.
It is different. Yeah.
Let's bring in Laura Okanowski with MSC Cruises. Laura, I'm going to greet you in a way that will sound familiar to both you and Mark. I said good morning. I said good morning, MSC World America. Laura Okanowski, hello there.
You sound like a cruise director, Patrick.
Dr. P, we'll call you.
Dr. P. I'm not Dr. E. I'm Dr. P.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
I knew you'd get a kick out of that.
Which, by the way, he is absolutely hands down the best cruise director I've ever experienced on board any cruise ship in my entire career and personal travels as a vacation cruiser by cruise ship.
So for people who don't know, the cruise director, his name, what is his real name? He calls himself Dr. E. He's the cruise director, and he's the one that makes all the announcements every single day. He was terrific. Loved him. Sounds like you did too.
He is a fantastic man. And as you're saying this, I'm trying to find his official name, Everson Beville.
Well, what was fun is the first time I saw him was at the Dirty Dancing celebration. So there's two things going on MSC World America. There's the celebration of Dirty Dancing. That's about a, 35, 40-minute show, something like that. And then there was what did they call it? It was the Dirty, where you actually watch the movie, and then they have a live band. And so during each section of the show, there's music throughout the whole movie, but they had the live band come out and play during the movie. And it was a spectacular concept. Took me a second to figure out what was going on, but did you guys see that when you were on?
I did not.
Oh,
I did. I loved it.
I've never seen anything like that before.
Yes, unfortunately, I missed that. I heard from some friends and colleagues that it was an amazing show and quite an ode to that movie that's how old now? 30 years old, I think. Dirty Dancing. So we are very pleased to have that exclusively on MSC Cruises World America. I, though, Patrick, was witness to the Queen Symphonic.
Yes.
Show, which was an ode to all the wonderful songs from the group Queen. And that was a ton of fun.
The Queen Symphonic, basically, like Laura said, it was all the Queen songs. And by the way, I didn't know that I was a Queen fan. I was like, oh, I know that song. Oh, I know that song. Oh, I know that song. And the people, the man and the woman who are up on the, what are they called? They're hanging from the chandeliers.
They are. They are like satin ribbons.
Yeah, ribbons. Thank you. That's the word. And some of the acrobatic display during Queen Symphonic was just incredible. I'm like, I didn't even know the human body could contort like that.
Exactly. The athletic ability of the dance entertainment team on board, they're stellar. They could be on any stage around the world, and here they are with us on World America. So very pleased to have such amazing talent on board our ships.
And what makes it even more incredible, generally speaking, the seas were calm, but that night it was a little bit rocky, and that they were still doing the acrobatic stuff on a moving platform. Crazy how strong they were.
I don't think they're hitting that pizza burger buffet at night like I was to be in that type of athletic prowess shape.
So in case someone is just joining us right now, we're talking about MSC's brand new ship, MSC World America. Laura Okanowski is the business development manager with MSC. I want to ask you, Laura, normally we're talking about promotions. You were on the ship with Mark. What was your favorite part of the ship?
My favorite part of the ship was literally watching the guests come on board and watching their faces light up with eyes big smiles at every twist and turn as they walked about with cameras in hand, phones in hand. I heard a lot of, oh my goodness, look at that. Oh, look at this. It was constant. And that was what I was feeling. And as I recant this to you, I'm literally getting goosebumps because I'm a very touchy-feely person, very tactile. And so as I'm walking about the ship, I kept touching, the walls. Oh my gosh, that's real brick. Oh my gosh, that's full marble. It just is spectacular to the eyes, the ears. There's so much to see. My head was on a spinner for the first several hours of being on board.
my mouth just kept dropping, going, this ship is unbelievable. It is beautiful. From the outside, when we were docked in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and we were off to the, I guess it would be the, not the starboard, but the, what's the other side?
Port side?
Port side.
Yeah.
And I was taking video of how big the ship was. It is beautiful outside. That was the first time that I really got to see the ship in its grandeur. Whoever the architect was did an amazing job just visually from the outside.
I totally agree. And to bring to life the European style of the ship itself, of the hardware, and then to affix the interior with so many American comforts and things that we as Americans enjoy and love about vacation travel, and having multiple restaurants to choose from, having multiple venues for entertainment all hours of the day. There is just such an endless array of things to treat and tantalize. And I can't wait to go back. I'm actually, truth be told, booked for this coming October with my family. And I cannot wait because, Patrick, I am envious that you had a full 7 nights on board and Mark and I only had 3.
Well, you guys,
so I need more.
So let's talk about Ocean Key, because that's the one thing we have in common, which is MSC's private island. So the last time I was there was 10 months ago, and the island is really starting to take change. So I'll just call it, when you come off the ship where it's docked, over to the left side, they are building more food pavilions. The island, it is under construction, but it's in an unobtrusive way. But I can see that MSC is really investing a lot of money into that private island, and it's fun to watch.
We absolutely are. There is an evolution happening, and we've read the surveys from our guests who have been. We have listened. We know they want more of this. They want a private oasis that is their own. They want food venues. They want more beach time. They want all the things that one could want on a private island oasis. And the fact that this used to be basically a scrapyard, right, in the middle of the ocean, and now it's turned into pristine miles of sandy beach. And if you're wanting to, you can literally walk on over to the other side or take the narrated tram on over, and you can find a little piece of oasis just to yourself. I mean, it's truly possible, even though you're traveling perhaps with 6,000 other guests. You do feel like this is your own private island. And that's what I love about it. You know, the ship is carrying a lot of other guests, but you don't see them all when you're on the island.
You don't.
And in looking at the future of this particular island, there have been some news articles that have come out just this week that confirm, Patrick, your suspicions.
Okay, so let me set it up this way. So Nikki and I were in the buffet. We hadn't eaten all day because we were on the island. And as I was texting you, I'm like, that's a new island. That wasn't there 10 months ago. And I could see Caterpillar trucks, and I'm talking about the gigantic earth movers that looked like little dots on this new island that's being constructed at this point. And you have an announcement, kind of. There are some public news articles. Tell people what we can expect on that island. And I'm thinking it won't be 2025. I'm thinking that it might even be mid to late 2026, probably.
Yes, Patrick. So I don't think there is a completion date yet set. However, what I know so far is that from the dredging of the sand that occurs for Ocean Key itself is now accumulating a little ways away. And we are going to be naming this island. It's already aptly received its name, called Little Key. And Little Key, from what I understand, is going to be very luxurious, very, very private. So the only way that one would get to Little Key is by water motorcraft from the bigger island of Ocean Key. And I don't know really anything else. I don't know if we're expanding marine life there, if there will be additional MSC Foundation elements as part of this. All I can tell you is I am so excited to see the expansion, because I know it really is a passion project, if you will, of our owners, the Aponte family. And they truly, truly believe this to their heart and core, that they want to be good stewards to the oceans, and they want to leave the oceans better than how we originally found them.
Is it correct to say that when they were, and we kind of alluded to this, that MSC World America, the ship that we were on, brand new, very just massive, not only is it long and wide, it is just a beautiful ship, that construction had to take place at Ocean Key at some point just so World America could dock. So when you're talking about dredging the sand or the ocean, that's probably where they put all that new sand for what is Little Key. Is that
exactly? Yes. So basically it essentially organically probably came to be, right? Yeah. Yes.
As we start to wrap up, what promotions do we have for MSC World America coming up? And I know that we don't have to say this, but I'm telling listeners, it sounds like I'm on a soapbox right now. Listen to me, people. Go on MSC World America. It is a beautiful ship. Not only is it beautiful, the locations are beautiful. We went to Dominican Republic, Puerto Plata specifically. We went to San Juan, Puerto Rico. I was not expecting a lot from Puerto Rico. Ends up being one of my favorite places that we even went. It is worth every effort that you can to save your pennies to go on World America. You will not be disappointed. And I'm not saying that because Laura's on the show. It is genuinely worth it. Do it. Okay, Mark, let's talk about promotions for World America.
First, we'll talk about MSC's just main promotion. This is for May. They have up to 30% off cruises plus kids sail free. Talking about World America, it is a great ship for families and kids. There's so much to do there. So, getting the kids sail free part of that is a very good promotion. And then, I did look at some pricing for World America, looking at a November 29th date. I actually can't believe for a brand new ship like this, these prices. Patrick, you said save your pennies to go on this.
Yeah.
You don't have to do a lot of savings because it is such a good price.
Yeah.
An inside cabin starts at $759 per person, and a balcony starts at $1,079 per person for that November 29th date. And this is actually the itinerary that you did, which goes to Puerto Plata and San Juan and Ocean Key.
It was an adventure of a lifetime. If you are even thinking about going, or one of those around the table conversations, call Mark in his office during the break. Get the conversation started. You will not regret this at all. 888-718-7717. 888-718-7717. And he will also post this on blueplanetvacations.com. When we come back, we're going to wrap up the show. This hour always goes by so fast. We will be talking about what to do if your passport is stolen. This is an actual story fortunately, it's not my story. We'll talk about what to do if your passport is stolen. That is next, when the Inside Travel Talk podcast or radio show continues, alongside Laura Okanowski, Mark Faldmo. My name is Patrick Wiscombe. Thank you so much for listening. We will be right back.
Taking you to destinations around the world. The Inside Travel Talk podcast and radio show is presented by BluePlanetVacations.com, America's best travel advisors. Call or text the show now. 801-649-3700. 801-649-3700. Thanks for listening. We'll be right back.
This segment of Inside Travel Talk is sponsored by El Dorado Spa Resorts. Escape to Cancun's Riviera Maya with authentic, all-inclusive luxury at an El Dorado Spa Resort. To book your romantic beach getaway, contact Blue Planet Vacations at 888-718-7717 or blueplanetvacations.com.
This is the Inside Travel Talk podcast and radio show with Patrick Wiscombe and Mark Faldmo, presented by BluePlanetVacations.com, America's best travel advisors. Call the show right now, 801-649-3700, 801-649-3700. And now, your hosts, Patrick Wiscombe and Mark Faldmo.
We do want to hear from you. If you have travel-related questions, like Big Voice and Answer Guy said. By the way, his name is Todd Carlson. Good guy. And a tremendous talent. What a voice. Text us in the studio while we're on the air so we can answer your travel-related questions. We do want you to be part of the show. 801-649-3700. 801-649-3700 is how you get a hold of the show. And that was a fun interview with Laura Okanowski of MSC Cruises. And we meant what we said. It is a beautiful ship, not because she was on the show, but because we were literally on the physical ship 3 weeks ago. Awesome. Absolutely terrific. If you've thought about cruising, if cruising is your thing, and if you don't know if cruising is your thing, World America, MSC's World America is a good place to start. Let's get to the Travel News headlines as we start to wrap up the show this week. And we're also going to be talking about what to do if your passport is stolen. It's a real story. It did not happen to me and Mark, but it is happening to was it one of your employees?
Yes.
This is Avalon Waterways. And we had, who was on last week? I can't think of his...
TJ McAvoy.
Yeah, TJ McAvoy. TJ McAvoy of Avalon Waterways. We had him on the show last week, and they are launching their Avalon After Dark program in 2026. This feels like an adult channel, Avalon After Dark. What's the After Dark program?
They're really making a play to stay in ports longer and, make the evenings on ships a little bit more enjoyable. Not that they aren't enjoyable. I love river cruising, but I think this really enhances it. So in 2026, this After Dark includes, we're going to have some dinners on the sky deck of the ships.
Ooh, okay.
So some alfresco dining, expanded food and beverage up there in the evening time. Usually you go up there and they're dead. There's nothing happening. They have all the deck chairs put away. So I think, this is one enhancement that is good. The next one is they're going to have more overnight port stays. So in destinations like Budapest, Vienna, Amsterdam, Rudolstein, Avignon in France, they are going to spend overnights or late into the evening there. So they'll have more chances to explore those destinations in the evening time, and also more excursions that go to experience things in the evening time.
Oh, I love this idea.
It's going to start 2026. Those, usually start in mid-March is when the 2026 season will start. So there are going to be several sailings that do this. The one thing I like about river cruising is they get you so immersed in the destinations that you visit. Mm-hmm. I think this is just going to help because a lot of cities are very different in the evening time than they are in the daytime. So if you're visiting in the daytime, you're not getting the full experience of those destinations.
Let's talk about travel and safety precautions. This was a direct result of something that happened to one of Mark's employees, unfortunately. So let's talk about what happens if your passport, your cash, but let's talk about passports specifically and how you can prevent stuff from being stolen.
This person had an activity that required her to bring her passport with her. There are some activities, some museums, different things where you do need in Europe a passport to get into these places. She had in her purse, her passport, her money, her credit cards, all of that, and her whole purse got stolen. And so there are a few ways to prevent this. First of all, don't travel with a purse or backpack or anything important in the purse or backpack. We've talked about on this show before, I travel with an RFID money belt or money necklace that hangs around.
Yep.
So, I have my passport in that if needed. I have a credit card and cash in that. I also recommend splitting your cash up between couples or other people in your traveling party. Leave some of the hotel so you don't have all of your eggs in one basket there.
What happens if you have like a photocopy of your passport? Is that good enough?
To most places, it's not good enough to get in.
Okay.
But you should have a couple copies of your passport. I have one for both Heather and I in each of our suitcases.
Yeah, so do I.
And then I have one at my parents' home as well. So if you do lose your passport, get it lost or stolen with a photocopy, it is easier to get it replaced. And so in this case, she was in Barcelona and so had to go to the consulate there. So you find the nearest embassy or consulate, and they can usually get it issued fairly quickly. Sometimes same day they can re-get your passport. It might take a day or two, which can be unfortunate. Like if you're on a cruise, it's a lot harder to do. That's also another reason we've talked about the STEP program where you register where you're going to be. That also will help in this circumstance.
Those are really, really good suggestions. And I genuinely feel sorry for her.
Yes.
What a pain.
It was quite the process to get that passport. Luckily, she had a few days to do it.
Thank you so much for allowing us to be part of your weekend. My name is Patrick Wiscombe. He is Mark Faldmo. If you have any travel-related questions or you want to book one of the travel deals that we talked about, the hot travel deal to Costa Rica, talked about traveling to Greenland. We spent a good portion of time at the bottom of the hour talking about MSC's brand new ship called World America. Truly spectacular. Call Mark as soon as we get off the air. Just get the conversation started. There's no obligation. 888-718-7717, 888-718-7717. And you can also go to blueplanetvacations.com. Well, we are done. You can listen to this show again tomorrow morning, Sunday at 11 o'clock, right here on this radio station. And you can stream, download, and subscribe to this very podcast of the radio show at InsideTravelTalk.com. And we are on all of the major podcast platforms. It's your turn now. Get out and explore the world while you can, because you never know what curveballs life is going to throw at you. Health-related, financial, whatever it is. Get out, see the world. It's a beautiful place. Just spent a month in the Caribbean. It is a beautiful place. Great time to be alive because you can get from one side of the country to the other so quickly. Live your life deliberately, live your life intentionally, and thank you so much for listening. Really, thank you. We don't have a show without you. We don't have a business without you. We'll talk to you again next week. Thank you so much.
That's it. That's the end of the show. You've been listening to the Inside Travel Talk podcast and radio show with Patrick Wiscombe and Mark Faldmo, presented by BluePlanetVacations.com. Book your adventure right now. Call 888-718-7717. That's 888-718-7717. Thanks for listening. Have a great week.
Inside Travel Talk is brought to you by Travelex Insurance Services. Their travel insurance plans can help protect you and your vacation. Travelex is known for their award-winning customer service and high claims paid rate. Contact Blue Planet Vacations at 888-718-7717 or blueplanetvacations.com for more information.